Again, I brought you inside. And you know the reason why? The lighting is much better there, but when I come inside, as I told you, you can talk with your brain, and that is what I like. It's just that I like doing that sometimes. In a day, you have to speak with your brain probably at least for an hour. When you have 24 hours in a day, can't you at least do it an hour a day? Is it too much to ask? So that's the reason I've got you here, because when you're inside, I told you, you get enough time to pause and think and speak, which doesn't happen when I take you outside. Outside it is much bright, and you know what I see when I look in the camera? It's my own image, so it's not easy for me to do that. When I'm outside, I get distracted looking at the screen, and I am not able to think on something that I want to talk about. Like yesterday, and I hardly ever listen to what I speak later. That is also there. Yesterday, when I spoke about nature, Prakriti, Paryavaran, whatever you say in Hindi, nature, that it could have been much better. There was so much more I could have spoken about, but I did not. And that's the reason. As one reason is that it was very humid. I made the video at 2 o'clock, and the other reason is because I was distracted looking at the screen, because there was so much of brightness outside, which is not there when you're doing it indoor. The best place that I like to make a video is in my studio studio corner, because when I make it there, you also have the mic system. You know, naturally you have an echo, and it is like you are using a mic. That's the best part. But then to sit there is not easy, so that's the reason I sit here. This is okay. And what is happening? Today is the last day. Tomorrow and day after is weekends, and I will not show up for 2 days. Instead, I can make a song, as I always say. And as we all know, Honorable Prime Minister has a busy schedule for the Diwali weekend. It's nice. I feel good when people are happy and doing things that they like doing in all the ages. You know, life is to be enjoyed. Whoever is doing whatever they like doing in life, I feel I take inspiration from them. And there's nothing like envy or jealousy in my mind. It never happens at all. I don't have those negative qualities in me. I mean, negative and quality, can it go together? I don't know. If it can go together, it is not there in me. And whatever you call it, whether you would say it is pretty natural to be envious about something and someone else probably, and to be jealous of someone. I don't have both of it. When I say I don't have both of it, I do. There was a time when I was very, very, very much jealous. Oh my God, I couldn't manage that negative quality which I had, characteristic or whatever you say, that attribute in me was too much. It was so unhealthy, and I had a hard time dealing with that, and I managed to get over it with age probably. And that comes with maturity, when you learn to let go the negative traits that you have and to invest more on the positives. So at that time, this jealousy which I always had and which was too much for me, I got over it. You can even check my Facebook. I think it's the same Facebook, I don't remember. When I started the Facebook, they had asked me what is that, write something about yourself, and I had written it there. That one thing that I have in more quantity is that I am pretty jealous. But now it's absolutely zero. When I say zero, probably it's because I know how to handle it. When you learn how to handle your emotions, it's not that you don't have those emotions. You do have those emotions, but it's just that you know how to work on it and how to handle them as it comes. You know it's something negative and you don't want to invest on it, so you just work on it, and that's how you deal with it. So that's about jealousy and being envious about others. So because once you have gotten over these two negative qualities, whenever you see people having a good time, doing whatever they like doing in their life, in spite of you not being able to do whatever you like, probably still you look at them and derive some kind of inspiration out of it. That's the best thing about it. You are like, it's a part of living, and live and let live, I always say. In the sense, you live, and if at all you are not getting a chance as yet, let the others live. That's how it is. And in this part of the state, there is a proverb which we say that every dog has a day. And I think that applies to all these things. You should always keep things to do list. In life, you want to do all these things. Of course, with every year, you have limitations coming up. You are a little of limitations does come, but in spite of that, you should always treasure your things to do list, whichever you have. I've said about this before also, and I'm still saying you should always have it, and you should always channel your life in a way that you get to do all those what you want to do in life. And I believe it happens. So every dog has a day. It only means that everybody gets a day to do the things that they like doing the most in life. There comes a day, so you just enjoy watching others do. At present, probably you're not able to do the things that you like doing, but don't worry. Tomorrow, definitely, there will be a time when you get an opportunity to do all those things. So now your role is to look around and to see that people are living a good life and having something good from where they can derive some kind of peace and good vibes. That's it. So seeing them, you feel happy, and that's what I do. So the festival of Diwali is coming very close. We all know that it's on Monday. So people do a lot of shopping and a lot of preparations for Diwali, and this what the Prime Minister is doing is a part of Diwali. In sense, an entire week of busy schedule, and then it just ends with Diwali. It doesn't mean that his busy schedule ends there, but it just continues with that. So what do we talk about today? Now that we have come here, we are going to talk about something really interesting. I told you something serious, and so let me tell you something about today. I read a quote, not a quote actually. It's a view shared by someone where they say that if you want to have an open mind, you should never settle with a know-it-all attitude. I like it. I like when people share views. I definitely read through all the things that others share. Though I might agree with them, though I might have a different view, but I appreciate when people have a view. I've already said this before. So when I read that, I was thinking, know-it-all. What does it mean, know-it-all person? Know-it-all person is, we all have our own opinions. We all have our own descriptions about everything in life. Opinionated people. I don't know how to pronounce that. We have opinions, and there's an urge to share our opinions. So know-it-all people, usually there are two kinds of know-it-all people. Often people say, I am a know-it-all people. I mean, I belong to that group because I'm so curious about knowing things. In the sense, you're reading through a paragraph. There'll be 2 3 words which you don't know. So definitely you're going to make a note of those. You underline those words which you have come across, and you browse and find out the meaning of those words. And that makes you a know-it-all person. In the sense, you explain it, and you, if you have a habit of sharing it as well with others, if the other person looking at you might get a feeling that you are a know-it-all person, in the sense you are just sharing whatever you know. It's just that you are a curious person, that's all. I am a very curious person. When I read, whenever I come across things that I'm not known before, I make it a point to keep a note of it and read about it and find out. So as Steve Jobs had said, it's all about connecting, making connections, in the sense from one dot to another. That's it, as simple as that. In the sense, when you read about one thing, you might end up finding a lot of other things in that paragraph which takes you to something else. So if you are very curious, from there you kind of divert to another thing, and another concept, probably another idea, another thought, whatever is there, and you read about that as well, and then you come back to read this. So that means from a paragraph you might end up reading a lot of aspects, which is in some way interrelated, but which as such is separate. So that means you have read a lot about a lot of things, and you just share them. So what happens for a person who is new to you? Probably they would feel that you are one among the know-it-all person, know-it-all group. Actually it is not right. We all have to be curious, in the sense, if we are curious, it's a natural thing. It's a natural instinct of a person to be curious. So when you're sitting in the classroom, the teacher tells you so many things. It could be that you listen to it and you have so many doubts coming in your mind, and you're not comfortable asking it. So what you do is you come back and perhaps you discuss it with somebody else who you trust, or maybe you come back and browse and find out, or go through it, or make note of it. Until that is clarified, you don't get a good sleep. I have always been like that. So that comes from curiosity. You are so inquisitive to know more about the things that you read. There are, even if you are reading a small paragraph, there are so many words which you come across. I've always said my vocabulary is very, very poor. I play with very few words. That's something which I could not do in my school days. I could not expand my vocabulary, and the difficulty is that after a certain age you might come across new words, but since you have not been using those words, you are not comfortable using it. You happen to use the words that you have been using. So that the words that you have been using in your writing or in your speaking, that becomes your vocabulary. And so I have a very, very weak vocabulary, if I can say, in the sense I play with very few words, and somehow I just manage with that. And it's not that I am not interested in learning more, but the thing is that I am not able to use those new words which come to me. I know those words. So if you are writing and if you are editing your written paragraph, probably you can just find the other alternative. You go to synonyms and you find new words, the replacements for that, and you use it. But as such, when you're speaking, your vocabulary is there's a comfort level. The words that you have been using very often are the words that you have in your vocabulary. And that way I would say I have a very, very poor vocabulary, but I manage with that. So that's how it is. Okay, so it's know-it-all person is someone, my opinion is that know-it-all person is someone who knows a lot, but who doesn't know everything. There's nobody who knows everything, but most of the people know a little or a lot. But it depends whether you are ready to share it with others. When you're speaking, it becomes very difficult. In writing, it's just okay. If you have an opinion, if you think you know something, if you have something to share, you are always welcome to share when it is in written format. But when you're talking to someone, when you're sharing it verbally, and it becomes a barrier, of an obstacle to have good communication, because there is a pause, there is a turn, it's about turn. I speak something, you listen, and then you speak. I've always had this difficulty in communication. I've always experienced this, that people expect us to have a good conversation. They want you to speak, they want to speak something, and then when it comes to your turn, they don't allow you that. They just speak and you listen, and again they speak, you listen, and you have something to say. The moment you start saying it, they will again speak. I've always had this experience, and that's the reason most of the time I avoid having conversations with people I believe don't know what is said to have a good communication. So this is a big and real problem. I don't know if you have experience. I always say, if you have opinions and if you have views, it's always good. It means your brain is working. It's not like you are blindly agreeing to whatever is told to you. You have your own views. You think this is what I feel about this. Is that not good? Does that make you a bad person just because you think you know it in this way? Maybe the other person knows it differently. That's what I feel. So know-it-all person, the difficulty of being know-it-all starts only when you don't know about the turn taking. You have a turn to listen, you have a turn to speak. It should not be that in a communication or a conversation, the other person gets the turn, you listen to it, and when it is your turn, you are not given an opportunity, the other person again speaks. That's a real headache for me. So that's the reason I don't have conversations with people who don't know the basic rule of having a conversation. They expect you to listen, and that's it. The conversation is over. I have said what I want to say, you have listened to it, we are closing the conversation. That's not conversation. So know-it-all people, the problem starts there, when you don't know how to put forward your knowledge or what you know in a reasonable manner, so that the other person, there is also another person sitting there, and that he or she is an individual and they have their own rights as well. They're not sitting there, they're not robots. You have not programmed them like a robot, right? You speak, they speak. It's like that. So I used to imagine that someday, if I practice as a lawyer, you never know, it's never too late, maybe someday. So I always imagine that there'll be a chamber and I'm going to have a chair for my clients or whoever comes there, and it will be a listening chair because I want it. And when that person sits on that chair, the person will have to listen to whatever I have to say. And then he or she can shift from that chair to another chair where the person is allowed to speak. And because I don't have to go and sit in that chair to know that I'm supposed to listen, because I know that a conversation happens only when you take turns. I speak, you listen. You speak, I listen. That's how it works. It should, but most people don't know that. And know-it-all people are dangerous when it comes to having good conversations if they don't know what it is to have a good conversation. It's not wrong to know something. We all know something, little to lot. So people who know a lot of things, even they don't know it all. They know a lot of things, that's it. and it's not bad. It's not wrong to know a lot of things. If you know it, you write it down, and if you don't know it, you write it down as well. If the more you write, the more you read, the more you know, and that is what we all want. We all want to know more than what we know. That's it. So that's my idea. Yeah, I will never discourage any person who wants to know more and who knows a little, and he or she is trying to put forward that little what they know. I appreciate it. Okay, you know this much, you read more, you will know more. See, if I try to suppress what you know, if I'm trying to put barriers, if I'm going to mock you for what you know, that means you are just pressing them down, you are trying to corner them. It is not going to work. Whatever you know, you say. I've seen people who have difficulty in speaking languages, even English or Hindi, because it's not because they don't know it, but it's just because they are shy and they are scared of making mistakes. They don't want to feel embarrassed. That's the thing. And so what is your part in that? What should you be doing with such people who wants to speak but who are reluctant to do it? So what I usually feel is that they just need that push. In the sense, you make them comfortable to speak the way they know. Whatever you know, you come out with it. If you keep it to yourself, whatever the bit you know, how are you going to learn more? So knowing things is not wrong. When you say know-it-all people who are curious to know more, people who are curious to share what they know, is not the wrong thing. Know-it-all is wrong only when you don't know the rules of having a good conversation. If you keep telling what you know at all instances when you're having a conversation without giving the other person a gap to say what they feel about it or whatever they have to say, then it is not going to happen. Then it is a big headache. So that's one thing we could talk about. What is your idea about know-it-all person? We all come across people, and I've never come across know-it-all people, but I've come across people like me who know a little or who know a lot about some areas, who are more interested in some subjects and some themes. But the thing is that they are so excited about sharing it in conversations that they forget that the other person is not sitting there just to listen. They also have something to say. That in that excitement they forget that, and that becomes very difficult. So the next time you meet that person, you know that this is going to be a one-way conversation where the other person speaks and you just sit. See, now when I'm making this video, it's so easy for me. Whatever I know, I just have to go blah 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 blah. It's very easy for me. So the rules of conversation doesn't apply here at all, and it's very easy. So whatever bit or whatever lot that I know, I can share it because there's nobody else interrupting me or wanting to share their views or anything like that. It's a solo play. As they say, introverts are often jazz players because they do their part and they walk and they come and sit in their place and let the other person do it. They are not very much in a hurry to push into a conversation and say what they know. They are not. So being an introvert has a lot of advantages. I'll be back tomorrow after the weekend. You all have a very happy and pleasant weekend, whatever you are doing. And I'll be back on Diwali day. Okay, so I have to go through some rangoli now, a small and easy one, that is, which you can put in the in the square place, whichever I'm going to find now. And I've got some candles as well. So as Modi ji always says, local for vocal. Sorry, I always get this wrong. Vocal for local. Okay, so if you are getting diyas, it's well and good, the clay one. But if you cannot, and if you're really challenged by certain aspects, then probably you can go get it online and get candles. That is much easy now. But the first priority is always for vocal for local. Okay, I am slightly dyslexic, In the sense, I get confused between words that has that rhymes, and often with words that has meanings, which is like push and pull. I get confused with that. I get confused with hardware and software. It takes a while for me. I need to pause and think and make it very clear before I know this is the word that I'm using. You go to a shop, there is push the door. I just stand there and think, pull or push. Okay, then it's okay. It's like that. So local and vocal, it takes a while for you to put it in the right order. That's it. Take care.